So here's my audience.
Over here so I don't get mine.
So, if you know me at all, my favorite sport is basketball by far. I love it more than any sport. I'm usually playing it 4 to 5 times a week, and I watch it every night. So, I thought this would be a great topic to talk about. Basketball was first created in 1891 by James Naismith in Springfield, Massachusetts. He created it first to entertain his students for his gym class. And at first, he had 18 students, so his first idea was just making 9 on 9. Kind of changed a little bit. The first thing, his idea was to hang 2 peach baskets up on a wall 10 feet high. And since basketballs weren't a thing yet, he used soccer balls instead of actual basketball before they were created. At first, the game was kind of hard to score, and the first game of basketball only had 1 basket scored the entire game. And one of the problems they encountered was that once you made the basket, it was kind of hard to get it out. You either had to get a ladder to get the ball out, or you had to use a pole to knock the basket off. And this made him, like, everyone loved it, so he started to create more rules for it. And this made him create the first 13 rules of basketball. The first one was the ball must be thrown in any direction with just your hands, 1 or 2, doesn't really matter. And the second rule, it may also be batted in any direction with your hands, but no feet, no shoulders, no nothing else, not your head. The player may not run with the ball and must pass from the spot he caught it. So when basketball was first created, there was no dribbling, there was nothing. You couldn't take 2 steps. You had to, the second you caught it, you had to pass it. And the ball must be held with your hands. You were not allowed to hold it like with your feet, or you weren't allowed to kick the ball, you weren't allowed to do anything with that. The 5th rule, you were not allowed to push or trip a person, or it would be a foul. The first foul would just count as a foul. Then if you did it again, you would have to sit out until the next basket was scored, which they ran into a problem because not a lot of baskets were scored first, so that was kind of an issue. And if you scored, or if you fouled the other team 3 times without them scoring, they would get a basket. And if you strike the ball with a fist, it would also be considered a foul, so they didn't want you punching the ball or anything like that. And when the 7th rule would be the foul, if you get fouled 3 times without scoring, you get a basket. And the reason they called it a basket, they didn't call it points, was because there was no 3-pointer. They just did, everything was worth 1 point, so everything was just considered a basket. And a goal was only counted if the ball went into the basket and sat there, and if it couldn't bounce out or anything. And if the ball was on the basket and the basket got touched by the other team, the basket was good. The 9th one is when the ball goes out, the other team will have 5 seconds to pass it in. So this means you have to pass the ball within 5 seconds or the other team gets the ball. Number 10, there's a ref that decides the fouls. So it wasn't player called fouls, the ref would decide all the fouls. 11, the ref also decides if the ball is out of bounds or in bounds, and he would also decide which team got the ball. For the time, he had it set as he had 2 15-minute halves, and there was a 5-minute rest in between. And the last rule would be team with the most baskets. It's kind of a basic rule, but you still had to write it down. When basketball first started, the courts were really small. They were 50 by 35 feet. Which, with the courts now, they're 94 by 53, which is considerably smaller. And basketball first became an Olympic sport in 1936, so it started to get recognition 40 years later. And the NBA was created around 1949, and the first season started in 1949. The couple of the difference now, they changed the fouls where the 3 fouls, the team gets a basket, that doesn't exist anymore. And then they created the 3-point shot, which is 30 feet out, and if the ball goes in, you get 3 points. And instead of having halves, in the NBA they have 4 quarters, which are 12-minute quarters, and there's 5 minutes in between the quarters, and at half they have 15-minute break. I hope this helps you learn a little bit about basketball.